All right. My settings. Yep. There we go. Cool. Morning, you guys. All right. So I know this is a little bit out of ordinary and how we're going about this, but I am a little disheveled today, so we're gonna do some D&D work. It's 8 o'clock. I've been up since 5:30, and I'm just getting to my first cup of coffee. So with just having my first cup of coffee, we'll go ahead and step on into our campaign. What? Okay, so can't update character sheets. Let's see if Roll20 is up. Hold on. Log it in. Oh, that's right. It's because I changed the email on that. Yep. And ta-da! That gives us some Roll20. There we go. Okay. On to our Icewind Dale. So last time when we were in Icewind Dale, I'm gonna go ahead and put in some Rime music. Yep. Boom. Da-da-da-da. Boom. And let's start here with Descendant. And see how that's turning out on there. Let's do Oral's Abode, actually. So last time we were on session 6, and what ended up happening, he's a bit loud on that, my bad. I'm gonna adjust that real quick. We're gonna bring that guy down to there. That should be better. Okay, so for Rime of the Frost Maiden, our API is running, everything's up for that. They finally were able to get to the Chwingas. Now, the Chwingas, if you remember, they were part of our starting quests into nature spirits. So the whole deal was that there's this wizard that they met in the tavern who requested that they go find these Chwingas, but in order to do so, he gave them a magical lantern of tracking. Now, he was going to use them because he believed that they had the ability to essentially stop Oral's magic for the weather. And so they're kind of mischievous. They ended up finding them, searching around the homes. We're in Caer Konig right now. And basically what happened is with that, they seek down these Chwingas just to find them playing around, and like they're very childlike. Of course, the characters fall in love with them, and they don't want to give them up. They know that if they take one of them, it's going to be its death, and these are like the last 3. That's essentially how I played it off for them, is that these Chwingas are all that's left of their family, and so they initially came to take them and then realized they don't want to do that. So they're leaving. By doing so, they were able to get a magical boon, which is really cool, which basically gave them Tiny Hut for like 3 casts. So super cool on that. But then we know that one of the big things is that where they're at here, I can actually I'll go through and delete these later. But Kaer Konig, where they're at, they were trying to find Garrett on the mountain. That's what they'd been doing for a while. They were able to do so, and they started finding more about this west side of the mountain. Now, the west side of the mountain is actually where some Duergar are living. And so what they're going to do initially was that they were trying to track down, essentially there was a thief within the town. But there's a lot more things that are happening that keeps leading them west. They find this new shard, or this new gem, I guess I would, like gem or material that's called Chardolin. And it's basically malleable, but it's also a good conduit for magic, even cursed magic. So because of that, they've come across some fiends called the Chardolin Berserkers. What they don't know is that these Chardolin Berserkers are being controlled by a man named Zardarok. Now, they have heard that name from the Berserkers, but they don't know much about who this Zardarok is or what's going on or why he'd be over here. But that is what the characters are going to experience today. Now, we don't need Lonelywood. We are going to go back 3 and 4. So they did the random encounter here. Then there's going to be the Duergar outpost. And this Duergar outpost is what's going to take them a little bit of time to come through. So, hey, Left, what's going on? So I initially thought that they were going to do the random encounter and then the Duergar outpost and then get to Caer Dineval. In last session, they pretty much got through the encounter, got back to Kaer Konig, they detoured back, and then we did the spirits, and as well as some story info. One thing that we'll come across is this Dragonborn, and I forgot his name. So, let me look back. We got some rolls. We got some attack rolls and strength saves. I forgot its name. That's not good. Okay, so, and that's where we left off in the text, right? Ingzash. So, Dragonborns of Bahamut. Let's look at them. During the time of the dragons, to act as emissaries of the mortal realm. Unlike normal creatures, Dragonborns of Bahamut weren't born naturally, but instead were creatures were born from good-aligned, non-draconic humanoids. Okay. They were reborn into new draconic bodies, inheriting the best traits of metallic dragons. Of song dragons. So song dragons resembled copper dragons in general shape, but they were more slender and possessed iridescent silver blue scales. This made them bright and impressive in appearance. Ah. Okay. So the rite of rebirth. Some of these aspects of the heart develop the ability to use dragon breath, right? Some of the dragonborn. So personality, honorable beings carry themselves with good deportment, acting as majestic emissaries of their adoptive father. Due to the sacrifice they made, dragonborn had a strong sense of identity with clear purpose. Dragonborn viewed other dragonborn as kin because they believed only other dragonborn could understand. Okay. Likewise, dragonborn viewed Bahamut not only as their deity, but also as their father, and as such, they honored and respected him above all. Okay. Art and leisure, love and war. If we look at, we got history, so we're going to do that. So for sure, we know that we want that for Ingzash. And then, hey, Juanito, thank you for liking the live. Much appreciated. So we're going to delete that line there. I'm actually going to move these. Even though I didn't want to delete that. We're going to send this back to the GM layer, move them. And we can move all these back here. This one we'll just send back to GM as well. And that should get us in a spot that we can actually like delete this, all this blue stuff that we don't want. This is probably going to be a GM layer there. It is, so they were not seeing that stuff earlier. That's okay. Okay. This can come back to tokens. This can come back to tokens as well. And now we have all of our guys in place for the start of session. They were technically up on this hill. They're going to be heading back, so I can just actually move them to here, and we'll be good to go. One thing was when we were looking at this Dragonborn Bahamut Ingzash, part of that is because of Andrew, which is our Dragonborn sorcerer. And so he's coming through this process of, like, sorcerers gain their magic through essentially inheritance. It's all through lineage, right? So he's essentially awakening to this experience, and he's not sure why. He's starting to get these Dragonborn scales, and he think it might be maybe like an affliction. He's had this fascination with dragons in which they encountered an adult silver or an adult white dragon earlier. However, they were too scared to really interact with it at that point. This Dragonborn is going to help him with that. Essentially, I'm going to end up turning Andrew into a Dragonborn of Bahamut, should he choose to take the ritual. The Rite of Rebirth. So, when we look at this, it's a ritual created by the god Bahamut designed to transform good-aligned, non-draconic humanoids into Dragonborn. He rejected the thought of breeding creatures to oppose the creations of Tiamat. He's instead sought out volunteers of any non-draconic race who showed strong determination and the will to work against vile draconic creatures. A potential's recruits past didn't matter, right? Called those humanoids he had chosen before adolescence, but sometimes adults heard the call of the Platinum Dragon as well. The call was courteous mental question, asking the hearts and souls of those deemed worthy if they are willing to undertake the duty to protect the spawn of Tiamat, giving up all they... to protect the world from the spawn of Tiamat. Giving up all that they were until the moment of their lives for a life of hardship and sacrifice, right? So, those who committed to this demanding ritual meditated for a full day and night. Reminders of them giving up. Those who elected to go on prepared a specifically built egg-shaped chamber and entered it into sleep for another full day and night, emerging the next dawn as an adult dragonborn. Permanent champions of the Platinum Dragon. So that's the idea for the Rite of Rebirth, right? We know that they're going to end up going back out to the Duergar outpost. Excuse me. For the encounter, I'll bring them back to this map because this is what they did before. And that should show everything correctly there. What I do need to do is... hey, thanks for the follow, you guys. Much appreciated. What we're going to end up doing is we're going to send them north through here. Last time they faced Chardalyn Berserkers. I don't want them to face that this time. I want this to feel... I'm going to basically gaslight them through this. There's going to end up being nothing here. But they're going to end up going to the Duergar outpost, where they will fight this whole cavern. And then when they come back, because they will have to come back through, this is when I'm going to hit them a second time. So... make them waste a few resources doing some searches and stuff through here. Make them waste a little bit of time. They'll go into the Duergar outpost where they can fight this whole combat. And then on the way back, then we'll have more for them to waste their resources. Make it thin for them to then go to Caer Konig, back to the city, where they'll return the lantern that was stolen. Tell the townsfolk of what's going on before moving back down to Caer Dineval. Now, why would they go to Caer Dineval? That is because if we look at our 10 towns map, that essentially is the travel for them. They are going to end up going towards East Haven, I believe. The quests are set for them to go that way. However, as we've experienced, they tend to go in different directions. I don't think they're going to go back to Lonelywood, but they will come back down into here, and I've kind of prepped them up to level 4 to be able to do that. And so once they finish that out, let's see here. If we're looking at travel times, so 2 hours for the black line, and then the green line, we're looking at 9 hours. So they at least have a day's worth of travel here. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go to this... I'm going to go to an encounter here and encounter 2 there for me to remember where essentially those are at, because they are going to do a travel. Can I spin this? Kind of want to spin it. Guess I can't. That's fine. But what we will do is, if we're looking into our maps, we're going to come over into levels 3 and 4, which is where I have it at. Victorious, what's going on? We go to random encounter, which was correct here. I need to see... Let's look at the random encounter table that we have for them, just because I want it to stay on brand with the Chardalyn Berserkers, or Chardalyn creatures, or not necessarily undead, but like fiends / undead. To keep it on brand with them trying to find Zardarok. They're going to learn about who Zardarok is once they get into the Dwarven outpost, the Duergar outpost, right? So we'll come in wilderness encounters. We got a few in here. A Cold Light Walker could be really good, honestly. A Cold Light Walker might be a good fight for them. The Goliath Werebearer is not on brand for what I need in here. The Berserkers are great. I could bring them back to Arvolaturus back to the Ancient White Dragon. This would be good for the story, but it's not really something that I would be doing for... it's not necessarily something I'd be doing for an actual combat. Icewind Kobolds. Man, the dragon could be a good one, but the Cold Light Walkers would be a good... Is it still down? I'm guessing D&D Beyond is still down. If so... Okay, so let's add in some Cold Light. They are considered undead. Multi-attack. And Cold Ray. I'm gonna post 3 of them. If we're looking at our characters here, they're a challenge rating 5, so we say that's 15. Right. And if we're looking at that, hey Felix, what's going on, man? Hope you had fun doing Spider-Man. It looked awesome, man. It looked like a great game. We have D&D tonight. I kind of forgot about it. So I was doing a little bit of prep, getting this stuff set up. I have to go pick up groceries here in about 2 hours. So I'm almost done with prep, and then I'm going to hop on some WoW for a little bit. But while we're here, we're looking at our comments. Yeah, of course, man. Anytime. Oh, hey. Also, let me pop this up real quick so I can send you the invite. I did get the Discord set in. And here it is. Hold on. And I need to... I'll show. So basically on it, like, you'll come on in and it's going to give you some, like, the basic stuff of, like, what you can do here. But I have it set up so we have, like, a general town hall for people to hang out, a bunch of fun stuff, people to post on different things. We'll create more as more people come in. But I also did the Warcraft workout, so if we're biking, a group for that, a group for just general classic, whether we do Cataclysm or hardcore. So then we don't have to be like trying to worry about all the top, trying to type through everything. But we do have voice chats as well. Show, invite, copy, and I'll send this in the chat. And this is for anybody who wants to come in and, like, if they enjoy D&D, they enjoy World of Warcraft or other games. There's literally one of the sections is, like, miscellaneous games right here. And, I mean, I'm literally Dead by Daylight, Fortnite, Final Fantasy, Marvel Rivals, Phasmophobia, Path of Exile. Just different groups that people, if they have different games that they want to stream or play, I want to bring in other content creators and streamers and people who want to do that. So you guys can post when you're going live as well. Because we all saw this during TikTok. We're like, we want to go live. We want to do these things. But it's sometimes hard to notify people, especially when TikTok was down. So you can... Essentially, I'll be like in here. I just saw you come in, man. Immediately, I'm gonna assign you into creators because I know you've been streaming Spider-Man. So this gives you the ability to come and post when you're going live. So anybody who's coming in can see that as well. So we'll have a couple different things in here, such as like general regular people coming in, members, and now members, it's all still free. Members is just meaning that you're a regular who comes in, and so if you're somebody who you follow some of the creators' channels, that you get priority if you want to join into a game. So let's say I'm playing World of Warcraft and I'm like, hey guys, who wants to come in and join with? And people are like, yeah, and I'm like, okay, we only have this many spots. Those that are members get like priority on that. And then we'll do like certain priority like member streams for certain things if we want to. But the whole idea is essentially everybody comes in, they get a spot to hang out, have fun, and then those who are regular get a couple extra buffs and stuff in there. Buffs. Man, I am playing WoW a lot. Buffs. So for the Cold Light Walker, if we're looking at levels 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, so that's actually we are matching on the like class level to that for this combat. That should be totally fine. It's on the outer side of them doing the Durgar outpost, in which I can have one of these piss off if it needs to. We have Caer Dineval as well, which they're going to be going to, and then it is unlikely based on their current speeds, but we do have these other, we have the keep, which they'll come into eventually as well. So on that side of it, I think I'm actually good on prep, honestly. Yes, sir. Have you ever played D&D? So I actually got into D&D because oh dude, man, okay, hear me out on this. I was like, that shit too nerdy, no way, man, that's not my no freaking way. And my buddy was like, hey, well, I'm getting married and bachelor party, and this is what we're doing, and you're in charge of it. What? Okay. So I jumped in, I played D&D for the first time, and I was like, actually, this is really fun. This is actually really fun. I know the characters are down right now where I host the webs, like one of the website hosts, but I could show you. So no, it's not an MMO. So think of it this way. I mean, it kind of is an MMO. Think of it this way. It is like a board game in the sense that you have like a battle map. So if I come into here, right, I know that I've got certain movement, like my character has so much movement per turn, and 5, 10, 15, 20, right, you can measure that out. You have different creatures that are like this ogre zombie that you'll end up fighting against. And you have some stats. And basically, you can roll dice to determine if this Morning Star is going to hit. And then you add the damage based off of that. So very much in the same way that WoW, you have a chance to miss or hit. This is very much based off of dice, but it's much more like opening your favorite book and saying, I'm going to be the main character now. And so you get to design your character just like you would in WoW, but rather than being like, oh, I'm a rogue, so I have to use daggers, it's like, no, there's a ton of different weapons and stuff you can choose. All sorts of class abilities. If I go into my characters here, we have, let's do Andrew. He's a sorcerer. And sorcerers are like mages, except their magic comes to them naturally. So they are born with this magic rather than studying up on it. And when they get their magic, they also get the ability to weave it around things so they can augment their magic. So maybe they cast a fireball down on a group of people. Rather than it also hitting your allies, they have special abilities that allow them to bend and weave it around their allies, protecting them. So there's all sorts of different things that you can do for like building your character and the classes and combat. But when it comes to D&D, here would be the basic thing, okay? I'm going to give you a very quick scenario. You're walking through the forest. You have a bow on your back and a sword on your hip. Suddenly you start feeling a presence, like you're being watched. But when you look around, you don't see anything. You hear the crack of a branch beside you. You immediately turn and see something coming out of the bushes. What do you do? And people go, what do you mean, what do I do? What do you do? It's literally open-ended. You can say, I pull out my bow and I'm going to shoot at it. Or you can say, I'm going to pull my bow and I'm going to hold and see what it is. Or maybe you know what it is and you're going to try to talk to it. Or maybe you have a spell to turn invisible. Or maybe you're like, piss off, I'm low health, I'm out, I'm running. You know, you have the option to do anything. You narrate it, and then me as the DM, you'll have these skill checks here where I'll say, okay, if you're trying to hide, right? You're trying to hide from this thing, I'm going to have you roll a stealth check. There's a general set of dice, right? The D20 determines anything. Here's a D20. You roll it. The higher the number, the more likely the success. And it's contested with their D20 with the things they've done. Yeah. It's a great game. I actually started running it as a DM professionally during COVID. Everybody was stuck in their homes. And, you know, people needed an out. And this became board game night for people, right? And so actually, here's the thing. That's the reason why I started teaching it too, is because when you show up to your first session of D&D, you're like, what are all these dice? What are all these skills? What are all these things? How do I add? It's like you're getting hit with a fire hose versus, you know, like a fire hydrant of information, just water spraying down. And so I actually created a course for people who wanted to learn at a slower pace. I do private sessions for people who want to learn how to character build or maybe role play, because in the role playing to it, you have 3 aspects within D&D. Combat, which is the battle map and running attacks and skills. You have exploration, which is if I placed a character here, they're not going to be able to see inside of this castle. And seeing inside that castle could be detrimental if they don't know what's behind it. Like right here on the map where I'm pinging, there's a drawbridge. If it's dark and they can't see that and they walk through those doors, they fall in a pit, right? So that's the exploration side of it. And then there's the role play side, which is like the narration that I gave you. What do? You hear these things, you see these things. Or maybe you come up to a creature or like a character, and that character has a seat, like this super kind of gritty, southern, deep voice, you know? Or maybe they have this really soft, higher pitched voice, and so you interact with a sort of acting, right? And some people get really nervous about that stuff right away, and that's fine. Some people are like, what do you mean? Do I have to do a voice? No, you don't. But it is, if you would read a book, each character is going to have their own voice. And so you get to determine how your character plays. The other thing is that for me, what I love about it is the psychology of it. People play D&D because they want to escape from whatever's happening in life. Or maybe they want to deal with things. I have friends that I've helped who they had agoraphobia. Sorry, I always mispronounce it. Agoraphobia, which is the fear of being in big crowds, right? So he couldn't go out very much. Like you could never see him at a concert. He wouldn't go out to a bar. And I was like, hey man, well let's talk about it. Let's work through that. And so we came in and did a couple private D&D sessions where he would play a character that's more talkative. He could practice in game having these conversations or what he would do in those scenarios. And what ended up happening is he ended up being able to start going to bars where, like, he could be around, like, maybe 100 to 200 people. And that's about it. That's still it. Like, he still has the condition, but he has ways of handling it. He has more tools in his kit to be able to function in a way that he wants to, right? And so for me, I love that. So I created this I did private sessions and big group sessions weekly. You know, I have 5 players. A couple of them right now are in Canada. Some of them I've had people over in Australia, New Zealand. I've had people from Ireland, from all over the world who come in to play D&D because it's a space for them to, you know, to just dive into the fantasy of a book and to listen in and enjoy and explore and make some really good friendships. My last campaign, those guys, we've been together for about 3 years now, and I've met every single one of them. Like, when I was out on tour and doing different things, if, you know, one of them was in Texas, I would hit him up and be like, yo, I'm gonna be in Texas, and we'd meet up and we'd go hang out, you know. So we made, like, lifelong friendships with it too. So that being said, if you're ever interested in D&D, like, if you want to learn how to play that, I'd be happy to help you with that. If you want to learn how to find groups to join in, it's great. Some people, like me, I typically, like, regularly, I charge for sessions just because, you know, I'm putting 4 hours into the session plus 2 to 3 hours per week, building all the content out, talking with my players, making sure that, you know, doing all that. So, but there are, you know, we understand that people can't always afford it and stuff like that. So there's plenty of free DMs out there. There's plenty of free games to join. There's others that they're like, hey, pay me a coffee and call it good. You know, like, there's all sorts of things. Let's see here. So I did, let me bring this in. So yeah, so, like, I do my player courses, digital tutors. I did write a book called The Dungeon Master Decoded. This is for Dungeon Masters specifically, the guys running the games, where it's like the top 10 issues new Dungeon Masters face and how to overcome them. Part of that, like, I created Discords, and then I also did, like, I'll do businesses. Like, they'll, like, have a team building exercise, and I'll come out and teach that for them. I do private events for groups. And then the other one recently that I started doing was a weekend getaway, which is, like, people who, you know, they want to come out to Nashville and play D&D for 2 to 3 days with their buds. So it's like a multiple day thing. There's a couple of them. Let me see if I can. Oh no. There we go. So, like, here's one of the homes that we'll rent out. So it's an Airbnb, and you guys get to come out and stay in this awesome cabin and chill out. There's, like, a pool, campfire, you know, like, it's just a fun experience for people who really enjoy D&D and really want to play with their friends and may not always have the time to be able, you know, this is like a vacation for them. And when I do those, essentially, you know, day one, you arrive at the Airbnb, we do character creation, session ones, dinners, all this stuff for it. The cabin one is a little less time in downtown because it's farther out, but there's still room for people if they want to explore Nashville. There's another Airbnb on that this one here that is, like, right in Nashville. But yeah, this is, like, the price is, like, the all-included for all your players, right? So this is everybody, 6 to 8 people to come out for 3 days. Of course, it doesn't include, like, your flights to get here, because people are, you know, like I said, we got people in Australia and Canada, all sorts. But point of that being is that there's different stuff for that. But yeah, man, like, I fell in love with D&D. It really helped me out in a lot of ways, and I've seen the impact it's had on other people that I just wanted to do this. And then it created enough of a market that I was able to start charging for these things, you know, because I also have to live and eat. So that was part of it too. So it's kind of like a side thing. Like if I'm off tour, then I'll come back in and do these. We started up the campaign for the winter because winter is always slow for me, and then we pull it back for when like things start getting busy. Like all of February, I'm really light on shows. So, but March I go out to Australia and to New Zealand. And I get to meet my players, you know, like, which is awesome. I'm there for work, but I get to meet these guys that we've been running these games for, you know, for months. So, hey, Ed, how you doing, man? Hey, I have 10 Hot Pockets. That's awesome. I love that. Hot Pockets are great. Yeah. Dude, so, introducing between you two, guys, and Felix, and you guys are awesome. And this is a great group of people. Felix has joined in on us with World of Warcraft. We started playing the other day into Cataclysm Classic. We're also gonna, like, I'm also doing hardcore, you know, so if you're interested in joining in, and like, we're starting to build groups up for it. And has been in here through like a ton of the lives, hanging out, asking questions. We've talked music, we've talked all sorts of stuff. So yeah, it's cool to see community, you guys. I love that a lot. But making sure I am good on time. Oh, hold on a second. We have, okay, lasso, no pending positions, that's fine. So yeah, so there's like there's an app called Lasso that's where I get some of my tour gigs from. Like if I'm off like my main tour, they just hit me up and you apply for different positions, all that stuff. Hello, I have 10 Hot Pocket. It is Hot Pockets, right? It like cuts off. It says, yep, there it is. I have had 10 Hot Pockets. The only problem that I have with Hot Pockets is that it's always frozen in the center. Or sorry, it's frozen on the, yeah, frozen in the center. You know, it's Titanic in the center, but Mordor on the outsides, right? But yeah, so we are starting out. I think we are good for our D&D prep for today. They're finishing that up. They go back to town. They'll walk into the random encounter, which I'm gonna gaslight them a little bit. They're gonna be super suspicious, and they're gonna go through, maybe waste some resources. It'll be fine. This is the psychology of it all, right? I try to bring in some of that fear factor. Should I use these spells that I have limited slots for? Should I hold on to them? They'll come into the Duergar outpost where they're going to learn more about Zardarok, who is a Duergar that is trying to take this new crystal called Chardalyn and turn it into this Chardalyn dragon to wreak havoc across the 10 towns. Zardarok's son is here. Zardarok himself is not. And because of that, this is how they this leads into the plot. So they think they're coming in to meet this big bad guy that's like the guy. It's not. It's his son, who's his lackey. Sorry, I'm like eating my hair. And so they'll learn more of the plot for that. And then they'll go back to the random encounter where they're like, we're safe. And that's what we'll attack them with these guys. We'll come down into the next town. And they'll probably end the session there. If not, I have the keep for them to stay at, which is part of the quest. It is actually in the town, but it's one of those that these guys do like to move at a slower pace. They really love the story and engaging in roleplay, which is why in the main town we have this character for them to meet. Ingzash, which is a Dragonborn Bahamut. Andrew is a Dragonborn sorcerer, so that means his powers he's finding are inherited, it's lineage, and he's gaining these draconic abilities. Well, the Dragonborns of Bahamut aren't regularly born Dragonborns. They're actually humans who have essentially declared their allegiance and worship the dragon god Bahamut. And they go through a ritual that changes them into these draconic beasts. Right? And so part of the story is this is going to affect him in his story, in his backstory, and whether or not he decides to later become a Dragonborn of Bahamut or not. That's going to be the cool thing. So, I believe that I am all set in that. I do have my maps. We're definitely not making it to East Haven today. I doubt we'll make it to the second random encounter. I can go into the tokens to delete these guys. Delete the sled dog. One of the things that I also do... no worries, Zen. Thanks for stopping in. Much appreciated. I know I don't have a lot of time today, so I'm kind of like rushing through things a little bit. One of the things that I do show too is like I'll go into the map and I have these maps set out into multi-sided, so I can actually choose. Let's do... We did some of these earlier. I'm going to choose this one. Kroger pickup. Your Kroger item has items that are unavailable. I shall let her know. Items that are unavailable. Cool. Send. So yeah, so now it changes the map for them there, and I can create some encounter space for them. That's if they get there. I don't think they will. We'll have plenty to work through on that. Usually each map is about an hour to 2 hours long. And I know that sounds kind of crazy. They're like, what? You're here for an hour? But yeah, because each character, they're going to have conversations with each other. They're going to talk about their backstories, or they're going to search around to see if they can find things. They're going to be in combats. Usually it takes quite a bit of time. And then when you have these ones, which are purely combat, you know, this is your typical dungeon crawl. And then, yeah. Yeah. Yes, it is. This game is phenomenal. Most of the time, sessions run between 2 to 4 hours, depending on your DM. And there's a ton of games. So, like, start playing games. Oh, hold on one sec. I gotta do my login. Login. Continue with the email. Yep. Okay. Email. Okay. Yep. Sends a code. Great. Give me that code. OHS06K. 6K. Shine up a login. There we go. Hey, awesome. I have upcoming adventures. Okay, so yeah, so when you come in here, you can find specific GMs if you want, or you can find games, and you can do, like, you can find the ones that are already running. You see how many seats are left, what session number they're in, so if you want to jump into the middle of a campaign versus the beginning, and then, of course, how much they cost per session. Obviously, some, they're, like, charging a lot. GM coaching, I do not charge this much. I do a private session, $35 for an hour. Right? And then if they want to come back and do more, then we talk about that. But yeah, but there's all sorts. You can see $15, $10. The price ranges all over the place. So you can go in and choose if you want to do a one-time thing or a monthly campaign where it's once a month. You know, you choose your dates and your times. And then you find your game, which this is 5e, Dungeons & Dragons 5e. You can select specific stories if you want. And then, you know, we have Dragons of Icespire Peaks. One person needed to start. How many seats are filled? I typically like to find ones that have, like this, that already have a couple seats filled. Some are homebrewed, which means they're not an actual D&D book. They run through the D&D rules, but the DM has created the story from scratch. You know? And then what you can do is you come in here, you find the charge, right? You find all the information. You know, I do 18 plus, just because adult themes on some stuff. That's just me personally. And then like the reviews for the DM, so you can see how, like, what you're kind of gonna get from that. And they have this really cool thing that you learn, like their proficiencies of, like, you know, they got upvoted for creativity, world building, inclusivity, and storytelling. Doesn't mean that they don't do voices. It just might mean that they just maybe don't have that as much, or maybe that's not a strong point for them. Voices are not a huge strong point for me, though I do some. I also like to narrate third party as well, or third party, like third person as well. I definitely, well, like the music you're hearing, I set music to all of my stuff. Rule of cool being that if you were to do something, it might be technically against the rules, but it's more like you can bend it. Think of Jack Sparrow. They're more like guidelines anyways, right? Same thing. That they allow it to happen because they're like, yeah, it's progressing the story. This is awesome. So, with that being said, we do have our D&D stuff good. I think because of that, now that we have the D&D stuff good, I think we're actually good to move over to some... I got about an hour. I could do some leveling in an hour. I could do that. I feel prepped. D&D Beyond is still down. That might affect my session later tonight. But yeah, so that's the deal for it. It's a fun game if you're ever interested, man. I'm only running one campaign right now because I'm only home Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, typically, now that things are starting back up. And so I run a game on Tuesday. I'm in a game on Wednesday. It's hard to have more than that. Sometimes I also need a day just to recoup. And typically, like, sometimes I'll cancel sessions. People know, like, my schedule. I let them know ahead of time, but most of the time I try to keep it weekly, you know, consistency. That's the big thing. But yeah, all right. So I wonder if we can forget the title on Twitch and all that. Do I go to classic kata or do I go to hardcore? I made another warlock yesterday, and just like the last time, got to level 8, and then just got my ass handed to me. I pulled a mob because there was a group of people there that have been trying to farm it, and I was trying to help them, and they did not help me. The bears came and attacked me, and apparently had a slow, or not bears, they were like hogs, came and attacked me, and they had a slow, and they just pummeled me. Watched my health bar just go click, 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 done. And I was like, that's what I get for helping people on hardcore. That's what I get. So I was like, okay, well, I created a mage to do a frost mage because I heard that they can be like really good for solo leveling and survival. I don't know how I feel about it yet. I was doing like frost for it, but like you get both, and it didn't quite feel right. The warlock feels better. So does the shadow priest. So I might stay with the priest on hardcore. Let's actually do that. Let's go to some hardcore since I don't have a lot of time. Blizzard, play. Tuesday at 7 a.m. to 8. So that's 9, 8, 7. Oh no, our server's gonna be down. Balls. Is that all servers though? That's what we need to find out. Because it could be just hardcore. It could very much be just hardcore. It's all servers, yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, I agree. Shadow Priest or Lock, definitely. Ah! Oh, that's painful. Why would you guys do that in the morning? Like, why would you guys not do that, like, you know, at like 3 a.m., 3, 4 a.m.? And of course, it's not like it's Eastern time where it's like, hey, I mean, I get it. Blizzard, you guys are in freaking Silicon Valley, but damn. Yeah. When I think part of it too is I really like dot classes, and so Shadow Priest feels really good. That's why Warlock also feels really good. I think I'll like, yeah. There was something about the mage. While it was really cool and hardcore to be able to generate your own food and drink to sustain your health and mana, you know, that part was really cool. I was always like wanting to cast a lot of spells, and then I'd be out of mana, and I'm like, but I don't actually have a wand to auto attack, and I'm just sitting here like casting one spell and then waiting for them to run to me and then bonking them, which was slow, and I just felt like I was just kind of sitting there. So if you like a slow, smooth class where you can just kind of chill and not have to be like button, 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 so you're just kind of like click, click, and then you just sit there for a while, I think Mage is a good class for that. At least early levels. Of course, I know you get more stuff later on, but yeah, let's see here. WoW, hardcore, Shadow Priest. Let's look this up. Mm-hmm. So they give us a leveling guide on it. Okay, so their strengths: high sustain, utilize spirit tap, and you will not be sitting to drink often, which I do like that. Gives you 20% chance to gain 100% bonus to your spirit after killing a target that yields experience. So you kill something, you have a 20% chance to proc for double the mana. For the duration, your mana will generate at 50% rate while casting. That's cool too. Great safety with many heals. I need that. And Power Word Shield is so freaking powerful. And Psychic Scream as well. So you got some CC and shield. Psychic Scream and High Sustain. Generally recognized as the best healing class. Highly sought after for dungeons. So we get some good dungeon play. Not gear dependent. Strong as long as you have the mana. So that's good because like some of those classes are very gear dependent. Especially if you have like the multiple specs. Like Shaman, you have a caster, and then you have a healer, but then you also have melee. So if you're doing the melee, you have a harder set of armor. You know, you have armor versus like robes. Weaknesses, very low burst damage. That's okay. Leveling speed is quick due to great sustain, but slower to kill mobs. That's okay. No movement enhancing abilities. So heals, Power Word Shield, and Psychic Scream are the only way out of bad spots. Does that mean I need to play Worgen? Because movement, shadow resistant, or immune mobs are much more tedious to take down with the most common spec, Shadow. There's a reason why that's the most common. Okay. And 2 for the Horde, Undead, and Troll. So this is incorrect because I know you can create a Worgen on it. Is a headache? Yeah. See, that's the thing is like I love retail as well because I can jump in and create my blood knight or like, you know, my blood death knight like right away. Boom, done. And it's such a quick leveling experience. But the problem that I have is that sometimes I think it's so quick that you don't really get to experience the game as much. And so I'm lost. Like, I feel like I'm just running around trying to catch up with everybody. Because I'm like, hey, I'm fully leveled. And they're like, great, we did that in like 2 hours. We already have all of our dungeon gear. We have all of our whatever. And I'm like, I don't even know what half this stuff is. So, you know, it's just like, again, like D&D in the beginning, it's a fire hydrant worth of information. But with this being not updated, let's do Icy Veins. I love Icy Veins is great. Extremely strong healing, minimal downtime, yep. Wand usage, yep. Highly sought after for groups, yep. Below average kill speeds. Extremely mana dependent. Duh, it's a caster. Kill speed is tied almost entirely to your weapon. Okay. I mean, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I know that they use wands a lot. That they're going to be using dots, and my dog is just looking at me. What you want? What you want, Dante? I think he needs outside. One moment. All right. You started playing Wrath. See, I love Wrath of the Lich King. See, I was really excited for Classic because I wanted the classic experience of Wrath of the Lich King. Because, yeah, I love, like, it's the whole Death Knight, it's their whole saga, you know? I did really like, I started playing Shadowlands, and I really like that. I also did, what's the one before Shadowlands? I mean, yes, there's Battle for Azeroth and Shadowlands. What's the other one? Basically, that's where you came in with the Demon Hunters. And of course, I love the Demon Hunters as well. There is Mists of Pandaria. I haven't really played that one. I heard it's good. I just haven't played it. It's very light and fluffy looking, which is fine. That's not, I usually tend to go towards the darker type stuff. And what Icy Veins now is doing? Nice. I love the Demon Hunters. They're so much fun to play. They look cool. Vengeance Demon Hunter, it's tank, so I get to play tank. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure. Herbalism and alchemy. Okay. Yeah, what is that one called? Dang it. What is it? I'm totally forgetting. So expansions. Let's do it. WoW expansions. I can't believe I'm forgetting this. Wrath of the Lich King. Oh, I didn't realize that was before Cataclysm. Oh, okay. Legion. That's it. I created a Demon Hunter in Legion, and that was fun. Again, I didn't get anything near like I didn't go crazy into it. I just teased it a little bit. My friends were going to play, and then they were already on to the next game. And then the same thing happened with Shadowlands, and I was like, Dragonflight looks like a ton of fun. I have it, and I guess the War Within now. But I like created something just to see, and I just again haven't really gotten far in that stuff. I technically have max level characters. It's because they came with boosts. You know, I'm not gonna pay to boost my character, but like I had them, so I was like, well, I know it's about the end game content, so maybe if I boost him, then I'll understand. And I was like, poor decision. Like, I was so lost. Oh, man. So, do they have, like, okay, so we know that they have, let's pull this up. They have Classic. Oh, I forgot to open up Twitch for you guys that are over there. Sorry, guys. I forgot, for some reason, the multi-stream thing isn't showing very... So you have Cataclysm Classic, and that's what they call it. You can't just choose from... And then you have regular Classic. Okay, so you can't just choose the expansions. Okay. I know that there's, like, the time walking thing, but I wasn't sure if you could be like, I'm going to do this era of, you know? Curse you. Curse you. I loved Overwatch so much. And then they ruined it with 2. They totally ruined it. Oh, I see you over here on the... Sorry, I didn't see you over on... It's showing on Twitch as well. Sorry, mate. Yeah, I forgot to have that open... forgot to have that opened up. I got gaslighted so hard because I thought that I was going to be doing more... I thought I was, like, closer on my sub goal for affiliate, and I'm still getting close. Like, I'm 32 followers right now. Like, I'm 32, so I need 18 more. But my initial bar that was adding up was much higher than that, and I realized it was because I had those freaking bots that come in that's like, hey pal, and you're like, cool, and you chat with them, and they try to do the long con to get you to, like, buy their art, and you're like, that's dirty, man. That's, like, why? So you gain all these, like, followers, like, boop, 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 and then they disappear because the accounts get deleted. Sucks. Let's see what else we had going. Oh, I heard about a new game that somebody mentioned. Honestly, I shouldn't even go look at it yet. I should re-download Guild Wars is what I should do. Because my buddies play Guild Wars and we're wanting to hop on soon. And that's a game that you can easily go to and come back. Because, like, there's so much, like, grind. Like, it becomes a grind game. Like, once you've done all the story and stuff like that, you can just be like, cool, now we just grind for achievements and stuff. That you can just, like, go do your grind for a bit. You get burnt out, you go pack it away, and then you go to something else. I guess I had to be on Steam anyways. I might as well look at this game. Predecessor? Yeah, that's what it's called. All right, let's look at this thing. It looked cool. Right now, it's giving me Warframe vibes. Okay. So it's sort of a hero shooter. Let's see the actual... It's free to play. Inspired by the legacy of Paragon. Okay. Yeah, how about this one? So we got our stories. I don't want the stories. I want the... Okay. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, definitely very much a Warframe vibe. But that's okay. Warframe is all right as long as it doesn't, like, it's not super grindy like Warframe, where you're like, oh, I finally got this thing to get the new Warframe. You have to wait 3 days. Okay. I'd give it a try. It says it's similar to Marvel Rivals and Apex. That is true. I could play a little bit of Rivals for a bit. Let's see here. Is there so sorry about that. I just saw your messages. Is there a D&D MMO too? There is. It's okay. It's called Neverwinter. It's more seasoned. It's older. Let's see here. I know, dude, for real. Okay, man. Have a good one. Have a good night and enjoy. A good morning, a good night, a good morning. Yeah. Yeah, we'll catch up later, mate. Enjoy. Uh, let's do. I got time for a match or two. We can do some Marvel Rivals. Oh, did I not reinstall it, though? Maybe I didn't reinstall. I got a new hard drive, and so I was moving things over. Add to library. Okay. Marvel Rivals, here we go. Alright, it's starting its download, so it looks like I can't do any of the downloads on that, guys, so I may just call the stream early today, just because I got a lot of stuff to do, and we're getting games downloaded anyways, and WoW is doing its thing. So it's the universe telling me that it is no-go for games today, at least for a bit, so... Alright, guys, with that being said, I'll catch up with you guys on the next one. Thanks for hanging out. We did get an hour in. Appreciate you guys. And 2 new follows. Thank you.